Watching 13 News, Kansas News Leader.
A world-renowned psychiatric clinic that got its start in Topeka turns 100 years old this year. The Menninger Clinic is celebrating with activities in the capital city and its current home in Houston. We are honored to have former CEO Dr. Walt Menninger here with us today, along with the current president and CEO of the Menninger Clinic with the Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Armando Colombo. Thank you both for being here. Appreciate it. And this is a lot of history, Dr. Walt. When your family started this clinic, it was your father, your uncle, your grandfather, correct?
Well, grandfather was a general practitioner in Topeka. It began in the 1890s. And he was distressed at that time. Doctors tended to be very private because you didn't have the kinds of medications you had today. And they would get techniques and they wouldn't want to share them. And he felt it was important to be able to be collegial and learn from one another. And after an educational meeting he went to in Rochester, Minnesota, where he visited the Mayo Clinic, he came back and he told his three boys, when you grow up, you become doctors and we'll establish a clinic here in Topeka, like the Mayos in Mayo. That was the model. Two of the three went into medicine. And the eldest, Carl, got interested in psychiatry. And Carl came back and grandfather said, that's fine, we can still practice together. But with patients that came for psychiatric care, could not always be easily managed in a general hospital setting. So they needed to have a sanitarium of their own. And so they needed money to buy the property. And CF and Carl established the Menninger Sanitarium Corporation. They had officially incorporated it April 1st, 1925, invited some townspeople to a meeting and sold stock in the Sanitarium Corporation. And that's how the Menninger Sanitarium and Clinic developed.
What was the approach that made what your family did different than perhaps what else was going on?
I don't know that I can say that very simply, other than that they created a total therapeutic environment in which all of the members who came in contact with the patients, not just a doctor, or ultimately a team of psychologists and social workers and so forth that worked with the patient, had a collective view and understanding of what the problems of the patient were, and had then a coordinated approach, 24 hours, 7 days a week. And that was the key.
And all right there on the campus in Topeka. I think of this history, Armando, and the move to Houston in 2003 really was kind of born of that need for increased collaboration with a university setting. what still is true of that initial approach from the Menninger family to what we see from the Menninger Clinic today in Houston?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think Walt, even though he said he didn't do it very succinctly, he did. What him and I like to call the ethos of the Menninger Clinic remains today, in that we have a multidisciplinary team that surrounds the patient. But I think the key to it is the patient is really involved in their care and their plan, which is very different than many organizations. Many organizations, the patient is told what's going to happen, whereas at the Menninger Clinic, and it remains today, the team surrounds the patient, but the patient is involved in every aspect of their care, their treatment, their goals, and the plan. And I think in addition, the three pillars of the Menningers, research, education, and patient care, remain today with our training programs and our research, and of course our terrific patient care.
How important is it for you to honor that legacy in Topeka? Because part of the reason you're here today is there's a board meeting in Topeka.
Yes.
It still meets in Topeka. The celebrations for the centennial, there's one in Topeka, there's one in Houston. Why is it important to you to remember these Topeka roots?
So I got to know Dr. Walt and other members of his family, including his late brother Roy and his son John, who are members of my board in Houston and here in Kansas. And I felt it was very important for me to stay connected to Topeka. That may have not been what it was in the past, but it is now. So I come out a few times a year. Walt comes to Houston several times a year. When Walt is in Houston, his schedule is busier than mine. Over 2 days, he probably meets with 12 to 20 different employees by himself in a group, and continues to enthusiastically push our team to continue to do what we do, and it's, I think, what makes a big difference.
Well, the Roots in Mental Health, our station was initially on the what's now former Menninger campus. It's part of why we launched our Hear Me See Me campaign, raising awareness of mental health, and it's why we're inviting all of you to the Menninger Centennial Reunion. It is taking place, the Topeka celebration, with a reception on May 2nd from 6 to 9 at Townsite Ballroom, and then there is an educational session that folks are invited to. The educational sessions are free, taking place at the Sunflower Foundation on May 3rd, but you do need to register. The Centennial reception is a $50 ticket. Go to menningerclinic.org/centennial to get in your reservation. Dr. Walt, Armando, always a pleasure. Thank you both.
Thank you for having us.
We are going to get a look at the forecast.